Hello, World Wide Web. I'm Shado, the internet personality with the best hair. And I'm probably gonna get a lot of shit for this review. Today we're looking at Halloween, the John Carpenter classic horror from 1978, which is said to be the first true slasher flick. A classic. It received 4 out of 4 stars by Roger Ebert, and is said to be one of the scariest movies of all time! And it's... well, let's just say I don't think it's quite as timeless as people have made it out to be. Either way, Halloween was the first movie role for the then 19-year-old Jamie Lee Curtis. She plays Laurie, a babysitter babysitting young children on the night no parent knows what to do with their kids, Halloween. However, during this time, a psychopathic murderer who only has the desire to kill people and dress up for Halloween happens by and stares at people for like 70 minutes. Then comes the killing! My fiancé may or may not have flipped through a few internet videos of puppies to pass the time while this was running, but nevertheless, let's take a look at Halloween and brace for the comments to tell me just how far up my ass my brains are. Well, I'd be skipping over something very nice if I don't mention the opening credits. It's just still orange text over a black background with a single jack-o'-lantern on screen that we slowly zoom into, but the music is what really stands out. Iconic, melodic, and exotic. That last part likely because of the 5/4 time signature. I feel like more music should use more off-the-wall time signatures. When the events begin, it's on Halloween night in the fictional town of Haddonfield, Illinois, way back in 1963. Setting the standard for decades to come, the first victim of the slasher genre can be easily picked out as they are getting ready for some good old-fashioned teenage fucking in the opening scene. However, the two of them head upstairs while the camera, the first-person view of their shadowy stalker, closes in.
You call me tomorrow?
Yeah, sure.
Promise?
Yeah.
And they somehow went upstairs, presumably fucked, and the guy got dressed and left in all of a minute. I guess after a performance that disappointing, she'd want to get his ass out of there. Anyway, the killer kid is in fact a killer clown, which effectively blacks out most of the screen, right when he walks in on his sister with her boobage out on top of it. I can't quite see in this thing. What am I doing again? Oh yeah! Stabbing her to death. Now that that's over with, he leaves and immediately runs into his parents, not even trying to hide what he did.
Michael?
Who cares about the dead-eyed, bloody knife-wielding kid? Both parents are just standing there slack-jawed like, oh, a knife. Well, that shouldn't be. The movie then jumps 15 years into the future to see the most expensive actor of this production, Donald Pleasance, who plays the role of Michael's therapist, Dr. Loomis. He's going to the Smith Grove Sanitarium to pick up Michael so he can be taken to court and tries to give Marion Chambers, played by Nancy Stevens, the lowdown on exactly what they're dealing with here.
What do I give him when we take him in front of the judge?
Thorazine.
He'll barely be able to sit up.
That's the idea.
Well, considering they say the guy hasn't spoken a word in all this time, I doubt he was going to give any testimony anyway. When they get close, though, it turns out that the inmates are wandering around outside the asylum walls. With the lunatics on the loose, naturally, Dr. Loomis gets out and runs over to the gate by his damn self, leaving Marion to open the car window like an idiot. Stop! Stop! That tickles! Oh, you're so crazy. Continuing to fuck this up, she hides in the car while the madman smacks the window with a flesh-tone painted wrench strapped to his hand, which causes her to just run the fuck away, and the lunatic gets in the car and drives the fuck off. Well, we're supposed to learn how the hell he knew how to drive in a sequel. Either way, it takes him one day to reach Haddonfield, which means it's Halloween, and we meet up with Jamie Lee Curtis first thing. She sees Tommy, played by Brian Andrews. He's heading to school, but knows what he's doing tonight on Halloween, being babysat by her. Of course, this morning, she has a little errand to run for a realtor friend.
I have to drop off a key.
Why?
Because he's going to sell a house.
Why?
Because that's his job.
Where?
The Myers house.
Establishing there is a key to that place, and it is for sale. Nobody is interested in buying it. I mean, why would you? A kid murdered someone somewhere, and it's been abandoned ever since. Whose price is that? Is that one of the things that you see on Facebook? Like, hey, here's a haunted house. Would you sleep here for 10 nights for $10,000? Well, it seems like someone's already sleeping in there anyway, as well as someone who is slinking around outside driving a familiar car, while Laurie tries to do her schoolwork.
Ma'am?
Answer the question.
Well, if we keep in mind the immaterial materialism, it becomes apparent that transcendental quantum consciousness is the chakra of eternity. By the time she answers, the strange masked man is gone! Along with his car, so it's kind of obvious what happened there. No bother, we can move over to see the older kids accosting Tommy over how the boogeyman is out there, and he's going to kill him!
The boogeyman is coming. Leave me alone. He doesn't believe us. Don't you know what happens on Halloween? Yeah, we get candy.
While the grown-ups get drunk dressed as superheroes and improbably sexy things. However, Michael Myers is here, and he, just lets the jackasses go. He's here to watch Tommy from the safety of his car that he still has. I really should have reported that thing stolen or something. Tommy pays the creepy driver no mind, and Michael continues to stalk the youngster. And does nothing.
You know what would have been scarier than nothing? What? Anything!
Unlike Loomis, who is hot on the trail, the escaped madman. Warning the locals of Haddonfield how he fears this man will return where it all started. It hardly gets him anywhere. However, he does find evidence that Michael has come this way and discarded his sanitarium outfit. But not the car, because why switch out that easily trackable, very large, identifiable mode of transportation? I mean, he killed a guy for his jumpsuit. You may as well take the fucking truck while you're at it. I know Michael's not exactly of sound mind, but still. Either way, school's out! Thus, Laurie meets up with her friends, Linda, played by PJ Souls, and Annie, played by Nancy Kiss. Seems Annie's also babysitting tonight, but never mind their inane chatter for a bit. Michael Myers is nearby, in that highly recognizable car.
Hey, jerk! Speed kills!
Ah, now it's time for Michael to... drive away.
You know, Annie, someday you're gonna get us all into deep trouble.
Fucking how when the slasher villain's a pacifist? Anyway, Laurie and Annie are babysitting kids across the street from each other, which they call 3 houses down for some reason. Which means when the kids are asleep and the parents are gone, they can all gather at the place Annie's watching and do what teens do best. Die in a slasher movie. But perhaps we won't have to wait that long, as after Linda breaks off from the group, Laurie and Annie see Michael Myers standing right there in front of them! However, he slips behind the bushes, so they move in to investigate.
He was standing right there.
Poor Laurie. Scared another one away.
Well, it's hardly surprising at this point. Mike's been showing very well his abilities to do fuck and all. Ah well, Laurie just goes home. But then... okay, what the fuck happened there? I can accept that he can slip down alleyways, or highways if he's in the car, but Laurie was staring right at him. She didn't even blink. Where the fuck did he go? Then she gets a weird phone call where she hears nothing, but it's followed up by a happy friendly call from Annie. Their babysitting house is so close together, she gives Laurie a lift down there. While they commute, let's hop back over to Loomis, who read ahead in the script for something. Sure, he's the one-man manhunt trying to track down Michael Myers, but first, why not stop off in the cemetery to see where his older sister has been buried for the last 15 years?
Why do they do it? Goddamn kids. They'd do anything for Halloween.
But it turns out the gravestone was stolen! That way it can be used in a mildly important scene later. Ah well, Laurie and Annie get ready for taking care of the children by getting good and stoned. However, Annie spots her father, and not only is he her dad, but the police, Sheriff Brackett, played by Charles Cyphers. So they stop and open the window and strike up a conversation with the man for no apparent reason.
You blame everything on kids.
Well, now all they took was some Halloween mask, a rope, and a couple of knives. Who do you think it was?
It's hard growing up with a cynical father.
But it does explain where the villain got his equipment and the mask. Which isn't exactly something I would have complained about going unexplained, but still, I'm more interested in knowing how the fuck he didn't smell the weed. Must have been some pretty low-quality shit. Either way, Michael Myers shows up and just stares at everyone and does nothing, but should that really surprise anyone at this point? The important thing is that the sheriff and Dr. Loomis have joined forces. Not to get the police in large actually looking for the escaped madman, who's definitely going to kill people, eventually, but to help the doctor around places like Michael's childhood home, to see if there's any evidence he's around. Like that dead dog in the corner of the room.
It's still warm.
He got hungry.
Could have been a skunk.
Could have.
And of course the sheriff doesn't buy the story about the escaped madman on the loose is gonna kill people in his small American town. I mean, he's helping the guy, but that's just because he's got nothing really better to do. I mean, it's Halloween, and there's only been a string of robberies and some missing pets. What gives? So Mikey's not here right now, but Loomis swears he must be around, somewhere, plotting evil in his dead black eyes, as he is some kind of horrifying monster that must be kept locked away at all costs! At the very least, this doesn't end with Loomis being brought in to cool off in a jail cell for a while. Kind of funny they're having such a hard time finding the guy, considering Tommy sees him standing around outside staring at them, which leads them to, again, disappearing, but not for long. The masked monster makes his way over to the house Annie's sitting at, catching her end of the conversation where she tries to set Laurie up on a date with someone.
Well, it won't hurt you to go out with him, for God's sake. Shit!
Oh, but damn it, she spilled a minor amount of miscellaneous liquid on the floor. This calls for disrobing, like, completely. Somehow that was supposed to be butter that made a mess out of absolutely everything she was wearing, so she does what you tend to do when your clothes get messed up at work and gets naked ASAP. However, Myers' lurking is interrupted when he is discovered by the dog.
Lester's barking again and getting on my nerves again. Never mind.
Showing he is pure evil. I mean, yeah, he killed his sister, and he's bad, but this is 2 dogs so far. That is unforgivable! Anyhow, Laurie and Tommy are watching The Thing. As in, the other thing. The thing that I haven't reviewed yet. While Annie leaves the kid watching TV so she can run around naked in the backyard laundry room to clean her outfit. However, the door keeps shutting behind her. Well, it might help if you didn't obviously lock yourself in. She figures she can get out through the window, but when Lindsay, played by a ridiculously young Kyle Richards, gets a call from Annie's boyfriend, Paul, voiced by John Carpenter, she goes out back to retrieve her.
Oh, my foot! I'm stuck!
Jesus, even the fan service is about as awkward as it gets. With the help of a 9-year-old, she is freed from the terror of the window, and can get teased about it over the phone.
All right, cut it out. It can happen to anyone.
Sure, stuck in a window.
Yeah, but I've seen you stuck in plenty of other positions.
My parents are gone.
And I do like how Michael just appears in the background, perfectly still in a single shot. Just kinda wish that on occasion he might actually do something. The allure of the D gets Annie to come up with a plan. Take Lindsay over to the house Laurie is babysitting at, dump her there, and bring her boyfriend over to party. This means she, runs in her skivvies across the street. Man, the 70s were a different time. When she gets in the car to pick him up, though... Oh! This murder? I find mildly uncomfortable. You know, I get that suspense can really work to help hammer home the payoff, but what part of that kill didn't look silly as hell? While the kids establish just how incredibly stupid they are.
Lindsay! Where are you?
Tommy spots the boogeyman across the way, with the dead body of Annie in his arms. Of course, all he says is, "Oh God, there's a boogeyman!" So of course Laurie doesn't believe him. Loomis is still on the hunt for the madman, though, by standing outside the old Myers house. But what's this? Random kids are attempting to sneak inside on a dare!
Hey! Hey, Lonnie, get your ass away from there.
You know, you could have just walked on out there like, get on out of here! Works like a charm. The two guys actually trying to stop the threat of an escaped murderer continue to establish they're doing just about nothing. Right before Linda shows up. She's here for the partying and brought her boyfriend, Bob, played by John Michael Graham. Not bothering to check first to see if her hostess is still breathing, they hop right on the couch and get down to what teens do best. Die in a slasher movie. Later, as what do you know, Michael's back to his stand around staring at people kick. Fortunately, he's already jerked around for like an hour, so there's not much time in the movie left. After learning that Lindsay is next door with Laurie, the two head upstairs for some fucking. The end result, of course, being that Bob has to go downstairs to grab some beers. He's taking forever to do it, and we spend a long time watching him do some mundane shit. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean he's dead in this movie. However, he does think he hears someone trying to mess with him.
Come on out.
Awful convenient that everyone that Michael's killed so far in this movie has been very courteous and isn't exactly the screamer type. Using his handy-dandy chef's knife, Michael impales Bob into the wall. Somehow, I'm not sure how the physics work here, and it looks like Michael's a bit confused on that front as well. Ah well, he swipes the glasses off the corpse and dons a sheet for a double disguise as he moves in on Linda. Amazingly enough, it doesn't take her long at all to get so pissed off at the silent treatment she's getting from Bob that she decides to call up Laurie.
Hello? Hello?
Now, even mistaken for sex, it still doesn't sound like she's all that into it. While Laurie can't tell the difference between a little death and the full-blown thing, Loomis does something critical to his investigation, and after standing around for a few hours, looks slightly to the left, spotting the stolen car. This gives him something else to stand next to for a while, but we jump back over to Laurie, who is now a little concerned as to exactly how her friend is doing. With that in mind, she heads over to the dark house and slowly slinks around, until finally she manages to find her friend. So all this time, Michael's just been trying to set up a diorama. I guess after 15 years of being badgered about what happened that night and you can't fucking speak, you tend to get a little creative. The guy's also damn good at organization, keeping the other teens' bodies close by, so we have no problem finding them in short order. But now he wants Laurie for the collection. And you can tell we've reached the climax because suddenly the guy's forgotten how you're supposed to stab people. Oh yeah, like that. Well, that's certainly different. I'm used to horror where people trip over nothing and forget how to walk. Here, she breaks both her legs and gets up and starts sprinting. It's like it's Fallout 4. Not to say this subverts all horror movie conventions. The thin glass door somehow is an impassable barrier for her, up until Michael just punches through the fucking wood door, reminding her that, oh yeah, glass is easily broken. After she tries to get help from one neighbor, and fails, she decides to run back over to the kids she's babysitting, bringing a serial killer along with her. Huh, she's not getting a tip. Oh, damn! A prick! My one weakness! Rather than make sure he's dead, Laurie just goes and tells the kids it's okay, she killed the boogeyman. But of course, no she didn't, he's back and ready for action. So she hides in the closet, which he easily finds. Oh well. Take two! Oh, damn! A prick! My one weakness! Again, she leaves him lying there, with his knife, you know, in case he needs it, rather than actually making sure he's fucking dead. She does tell the kids to go to a neighbor's house, where the phone lines aren't cut, and call the police. I guess they heard the soundtrack kick in too. While standing around all day was fun, the screaming children clue Loomis in that maybe the escaped madman he's been looking for is in the house they just fled, and indeed he is. Revealing that Michael Myers' face looks perfectly normal. And gunshots make him fall down. As if that matters. Because as we could have expected by now, he just gets right the fuck back up! But don't worry, Dr. Loomis unloads every last chamber into the man, sending him out the window to his death! Like, that's even enough to stop the guy. It's said that Loomis was originally meant to look surprised here, but Pleasance argued that the guy knows Michael well enough to expect this outcome. And, well, yeah, I expected it. Therefore, spooky ending! Laurie has survived, but so has Michael, and he's out there somewhere. Not like that really matters. What the fuck's he gonna do? Stand around and stare at people some more? Anyway, that was Halloween, and... ooh, I can feel that dislike bar already. What can I say? The movie was oh so slow, with so little going on. It's not a great film by any stretch of the imagination. I'm also confused about the argument that the 70s were a different time for horror when there's so many movies from that period that I fucking love. That's not to say that I think Halloween was a train wreck through and through. It certainly got some things going for it, but not enough to carry the experience in my opinion. First and foremost, the score is iconic and very well done. It said one critic who got an early screening of the film complained that it simply wasn't scary, but changed their tune when the music was added. Personally, I just think it's a horror movie that isn't scary, but has good music. There's a few reasons it's not scary. First and foremost, Michael just isn't very threatening. Most of the time he just stands around and drives around and looks at people. Seeing him is about as scary as getting in a car. Yeah, you might die, but the far more likely scenario is nothing's going to happen whatsoever. Then there's the acting, which was just... eh. Aside from Donald Pleasance, everyone's performance was decidedly lackluster, including Jamie Lee Curtis. You can certainly tell this is a very early work in her portfolio. This doesn't go so low as to be cheesy so bad it's good, though, which can be a plus or a minus depending on what you're looking for. Except for the acting during the kills, I suppose. Oh god, was every single one of those silly as fuck. And I think they're my favorite part of the movie, just because I got such a good laugh out of them. Of course, that does mean that they also don't add to the scare factor. Rather, they detract from it. Overall, Halloween is a low-budget 70s horror that looks like a low-budget 70s horror. I think it can be enjoyed by fans of classic B-movies that don't need extra cheese to enjoy their flicks, but I don't think I'll ever understand the opinions of those who think this is the greatest horror movie ever made, or in any way timeless, coming in at 2 light pricks with neurotoxin-coated sewing needles out of 5. I'm pretty sure the series gets a little more exciting as time goes on. Michael Myers in a burning building doing battle with Busta Rhymes comes to mind, but anyway, thank you all for watching. I've been Shado, and remember, in order to get the full perspective, I'm gonna have to see, like, every single movie in the Halloween franchise, so with that in mind, it is a pretty good thing that it just so happens to be the summer of Halloween!
He's like a shadow. He's like a shadow. He's like a shadow. The internet personality with the best hair. He's like a shadow. He's like a shadow. He's like a shadow. The internet personality with the best hair.
Get your ass away from there.